Daddy, we left me drink, cocktail in the field. I love my drink like Champions League. Every 25 hits, even the only field. Man, I better be road like a Ferrari. We got a contest, I said I love of the tweet. Create my own leagues, and off we come.
Running on though, here's Canapri, he's on a hat-trick and he's in!
This is Corner Flag Talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Corner Flag Talk Podcast. It's your boy John. I'm here with Virgil as always. Virgil, was it good?
I'm always good and chilling.
And you know we're here for the end of season award show, and we decided to double up on the numbers as well as triple up in quality. So on my right side here, my boy Courtney Turpin, our resident writer for Power Rankings. When last I got Power Ranking, I don't know.
It's been a really long one.
My recent graduate, dog. Congrats on that, by the way, dog. New process engineer on the block. If all them men know somebody looking for one. And my boy Raj, was he good?
I good. Glad to be
I
on
love
here,
that
you know?
final, dog. It's happening, you know.
It's happened.
All right, guys. So like we say, we're on the award show. We have our best player, flops, all that kind of stuff. You guys saw it on the Instagram. For you guys who here on the live, we appreciate you guys so much. Last time we hit a little record with 35, I think it was on the live, dog. Like we go for 40. Share it with your friends. You know, it's a big thing. You know, we're all
50.
official. We have actual placards, dog. So yeah. So we started off with the big one. Best player of the season. And how this thing is going to work, you guys, is that one of us is going to kind of go into depth with who they're talking about. We will, as a group, discuss it. And everybody else will give their own. And at the end of the show, I'm going to have all these recorded. And then within the coming days, you guys will be able to give the option to vote on who you guys think was the best out of our nominees, right? So like we say, we started with the big one first. Player of the season. So we're going to let everybody give their choice first. And then we'll go from there who goes into depth. So we'll start on the end. Courtney.
Yeah,
What you thinking?
I honestly think player of the year is the most obvious choice. Obviously, it had to be Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, the man was phenomenal this year. I mean, goals, assists, everything. Nothing much more you could want from KDB this season.
Anything different, Virgil?
Oh, man, for the PM, you know. Man, for the PM, talk about De Bruyne, you know. I said, because look at everybody there, like, no hate everybody else, but it's obvious choice.
All right, that's enough.
Like, if you look at the numbers, right? It's obvious choice.
Yeah.
Numbers don't lie.
Raj, anything different?
For mine, I had the Liverpool skipper. Nah, just kidding. I had Kevin De Bruyne as well. And if you look, overall, the season was great. As Turpin said, with the assists and the goals, and just his overall play and importance in the midfield.
Yeah, totally agree. And I had Kevin De Bruyne as well. And, you know, because we kind of knew that this was going to be unanimous, you know, I had everybody write down like 2 or 3 players again they would have had on the special mention. But before we go into that, Virgil is your boy. I'm going to go into him a little bit. Talk about, you know, why it is he was leaps and bounds ahead of everybody this year to win the Player of the Year award, though.
Yeah, because looking at De Bruyne, you'll see, compared to all different options it had around, you saw that season when he was out, City, yeah, they did well, but they were missing that little spark. And you see once De Bruyne in that team, they're taking City from being good to this world-class team. Because no matter what, you're looking at a player that could just take charge of the game. And you saw from plenty of games when moral drop, you don't know where the goals is going to come from. You see De Bruyne just do whether it be a pass out of nowhere, a wonderful goal out of nowhere just to bring back life into the game. And you know that's what you want to look at. I just feel like for everybody else, looking at all the different players, take De Bruyne out of the City team and this says a lot. The City side has so much depth, but the City side is a whole different side without De Bruyne in it.
Chad wants to know what jersey I have on.
Oh, the boss, you know, Captain America. Got to rep.
And then Chad also says the only answers is Bruno and Rashford, right? Chad, there's a reason I didn't bring on the show, bro. So
that's facts, you know. I feel like I couldn't hear that. I don't want to hear that.
So real quickly, guys, we're gonna go around same way again. Actually, we're going in reverse. So my 3 nominees outside of that who I thought had brilliant seasons was obviously I was starting now. Is over. Second highest scorer in the league. This is his 4th season in a row, actually. Not 4th season. This is the 4th player in Europe to go 6 consecutive seasons scoring 20 plus in the league. And when you consider that he did that for a side that ranked 16th in the league for chances created, I think that speaks to his quality and his clinicalness, as well as the state of the club he in. The other 2 players I had here was Virgil van Dijk, who we might not speak about him in the kind of like unstoppable way as we spoke about him last year, but I think that's also a testament to the level that is his normality now. As he becomes head and shoulders probably the best defender in the world. And lastly, I had another City player, which was Riyad Mahrez. We spoke about this before, and I said that if he wasn't being like rotated the way that Pep has his rotation policy, it would have been a lot easier to speak about him in terms of being one of the best players in the league this year. He was a constant output, constant form of goals and assists, and while he might be a left footer looking to cut in from the right wing, it was never predictable and it was never easy. So yeah, Rog.
I went about mine a little bit different. Instead of just looking for the best player who wasn't De Bruyne, I look at importance to teams now and how that would have shake out. So do be vexed if you're in here favorite players, but when I look at Spurs play without Kane, there's no where the goals gonna come from. I mean, Son had a kind of up and down year, but consistently when you look at Spurs play without Kane, there's no outlet, there's no natural outlet. They try Lucas Moura on top, it don't work. So I'll have Kane up there. Another one, I guess, in terms of importance again, when you look earlier in the season, what's the name? Southampton get battered 9-0 and everybody penciled them to fire their manager and go down. And out of nowhere, Danny Ings, put the team on his back, scored 22 goals for a relegation battling team. So I will put him up there as well. And I guess I'll go with Oba as well because, like you said, he consistently for Arsenal bangs in at least 15 goals. I said 20, but I don't know the stats, so I'll just go with 15. And just his importance to the output of the team now. It key, like, without Oba, Arsenal might be lower than 8. So
Kirk is right, though. There's literally nobody else.
I did it on importance. So
Virgil, who's the next 3, dog?
Next 3 had to be Mahrez. Mahrez had to be there. The challenge to bring for that spot to play this season, because you see, well, Mahrez was our outlet when it comes to those attacking chances, and you saw the spark that he had. He's catching it for him. So I won't really stay much on Mahrez. I have to say, I had to say Danny Ings for sure. I had to say Danny Ings because as Rod mentioned there, from Southampton losing 9-0 to then come back and getting so much points to just with all them go, it's how much go 22 tie with Oba. Some just want to say Oba is the best striker in the league. That's arguable. I'm not going to say anything about that. But
I mean, the start off, he actually have knees.
Hey, we talk about Danny Ings, right?
Yeah.
So right now, Ings to hit that 22 goals, that's actually a big statement there. And you see from where he came from.
Man, say fix your posture.
From where he come from. and the other person for sure I the throw in there. I have to be. Had to be Grealish.
This one sooner wants to name no Liverpool man.
Had to be Grealish.
Like
no, big to big.
Yeah?
But big to big. The reason why I say that.
Good shout.
Grealish put Aston Villa on his back and save them, If Grealish wasn't there, Aston Villa go and be in this playoff that going on today,
I had to agree with Rodgers and Virgil on the Danny Ings. I think Danny Ings like a monster season.
Yeah.
You don't ever expect that much goals from a player from a relegation.
Agreed.
Struggling team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree with my boy Chad, big up Rashford. I think Rashford had a monster.
I agree
with Rashford.
Yeah.
If he didn't get injured, the importance of Rashford goals early on in the season for United. He didn't play the best after the restart, but early in the season, Rashford had a real good season.
Yeah.
I just want to mention, big up the fantasy legend, John Lundstrom. I think he real bad, dog.
That's true. That's true,
Lundstrom
man.
had a real good season. Man is underrated, man. But being serious, I had to go with Jack Grealish too because...
Yeah. On the back, though.
Yeah, on the back. It take a lot of cojones to wear that armband and play the way that man does play.
And the truth is, dog, is that, fantasy players would know, right? That when we get a little score updates with goal and assist, there's very rare that Aston Villa comes in and you see somebody named other than Grealish. Everything literally runs through this guy. Lum says notice his comment. Fixture posture.
The door.
But I agree with everything you guys said.
Even self on the last day of the season, Grealish scoring the 85th minute to keep them up.
And dog all this banter, United and them and all the time though. But hey, truth is that Rashford really had a phenomenal season. And let me not take away from the fact that he's 22, 23, and he is now the most important player I take in United side right now, because other than the fact that I know Bruno is a great player, Pogba is a great player, but when he embodies United a lot, being a man, grown and born there, and since he's broken into the team, he has his ups and downs, a little inconsistency here and there. But up until January, he was definitely one of the best performing players in the season.
At that point in time, he was the only player at United who would take up the ball and actually run at top.
Yeah. And then let me take in big game performances as well. If I remember right, goal against Liverpool, goals against Chelsea, goals against City, goals against Spurs, all in the first half of the season. Goals against Leicester, all in the first half of the season. So... next thing we have is best of the rest player. Lum asks why we didn't talk about Vardy.
Now we get into that, don't worry.
Alright, cool.
They're not Vardy categories.
So best of the rest. I had Ings in best of the rest. You guys already pointed out that he scored 20 goals and whatnot. And I say that, I saw that he was the first player since somebody back in the 1980s to score 20 goals in a league season for Southampton, and that's ridiculous. And when you're adding also the fact that he came in and did it after all these goals mostly came after they lost 9-0. A main part of them staying up was he is the reason they stayed up.
Without his goals, they go down for sure.
For sure. And when you're adding the fact that since they got that 9-0, a man now asks why we not talk about Mason. Dog Scarlett. What? Mason Mount.
Hey, big up Mason Mount.
After they lost 9-0,
proper midfielder.
Spurs accumulated more points between then and the end of the season than Leicester City. And that's down to Danny Ings, So, yeah. We go around again. Virgil, go next now.
I had Ings, I think by Ings, but for the sake of diversity, I will go for... Fine. I had to say Pope. For sure, I had to say Pope, I had to say Pope because for him there only better by Ederson, and I will say that it just the defense let Pope down. Because we saw how much time Pope saved that Burnley side, and that Burnley side that have so much problems on the field, off the field. Them only have 14 registered players right now. Them don't even have a full team. but for Pope to save the side and keep them at a stable position in the table, because they could have easily slipped down to relegation and Red Bull won't have fight up.
Yeah.
Because things not really looking too good there, but I stand out.
When you take into that, their two main strikers was injured for a big part of the season. They had problems to deal with.
Yeah. Because I say for that Burnley side stay in a good position in the table all along to Pope.
Tippin?
I think Pope and Danny Ings is... I think Pope is a good show. Danny Ings is the obvious choice. But since I went with him before, I'll go with Raul Jimenez.
Hey, great shout, boy. Great shout, boy.
I think Jimenez
phenomenal player.
Had a good season.
Recently that there were links with him to United, and I think that is very much justified. He's definitely one of the best strikers.
No, I feel anybody who signed Jimenez getting a good striker for a good would it be 2-3 years, Rog?
I also went with Raul Jimenez.
Yeah, big
it's obvious he scored 17.
And assisted the next 8 or something like that.
His hold-up play, he good in the air, he's also good on the ground, he's a complete striker. So yeah.
That's good shouts, fellas. Totally agree. Next category we have up would be Manager of the Year. And I think there is a kind of two more or less choices that people go with. One, I think most non-Liverpool fans will go with. So I had Chris Wilder, Sheffield, at the end of the year. Last year, Wolves came up, did about the same thing. And we actually did, me and Virgil did actually nominate Nuno as one of the managers of the year last year. But then I think when you think about the lack of spending power or agent links that they have compared to Wolves, and to do what they did, sure, in the end, they didn't get no European football, And hey, that's just how it happens sometimes. But to come up and to take on the league by storm the way they did, and to do it with relatively no-name players, Chris Wilder had to get all the credit, Rog?
I mean, that one's a tough one for me. Honestly, I didn't really think about
Frankie
it.
at the wheel?
Yeah, that's an easy thing to say because, the team overachieving the circumstances, but I think you have the right answer with Chris Wilder because even before the season start, I had Sheffield going right back down the road, and to have them in a Europe kind of battle towards the end of the season with these circumstances. You see, I think they only signed one big name player for the season, and all the rest are men is men who play the entire career in League One and League Two and in Championship. I think just getting the best out of what he have and have them up there is that good shout.
Chad being real toxic now. You might say
Chad
boys.
say Moyes.
Hey,
My
you keep
security
them up
back
in
for
there.
United. He's security back for United.
It's true. Hey, for real though.
I could say Mourinho because he helps secure the
Yeah,
bag
he
for
helps
Chelsea.
secure the
So we go next now. We have him at here.
I think it's tough. It's tough on Jurgen Klopp because the start Liverpool after the year prior to the Watford loss, thanks to Watford, I really couldn't go through that with Liverpool. It was phenomenal. It was absolutely. You can't put words into it now because that Liverpool side, week in, week out, I mean, they weren't playing the best football all the time, but they always managed to scrape out the victory. And I had to give them credits for that.
Yeah.
But you can't go against Chris Wilder because what Chris Wilder has done at Sheffield United with pennies has been spectacular.
Yeah.
I mean, coming up from League One Championship, playing a style of football nobody has ever seen before. The overlapping wing backs, overlapping centre halves. I mean, it's crazy. And I predicted them to go down at the beginning of the season because I thought their style of play wouldn't be suited to the Premier League because they are mainly a defensive side with low attacking output, but they find a way to make it work. And kudos to Chris Wilder.
A manager who did something similar and unfortunately got let go this year was Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe was with them from the get-go, and it really unfortunate how things ended with them in the end. And I think Chef need to take lessons from Bournemouth then. Yeah. That the lack of backing their manager could only go so far. At some point, you need to back him, Dog, let's be real. Men like Lerman, Billing, them men not good enough to be in the Premier League.
I mean, with Premier League TV rights, there should be enough funds to be able to properly back your manager.
Yeah.
And Howe took over Bournemouth when it was 24th in League 2 or something like that.
Yeah, man, was a player
the man
there.
win the Johnson Payne Trophy or something like that too, though.
Man get fired from Burnley and then joined Bournemouth and cause it,
Yeah. And who's your manager there?
I know Chris Wilder did something spectacular this season, taking Sheffield and keeping the same style of play he had in Championship all the way to the Prem, and we saw a good result from that. But I have to give it to Lampard. I had to give manager the season because from what he do with the Chelsea side, we're talking about a team spending pennies. This man spent nothing. This man had to look at the academy and bring up men like Mason Mount. He had to bring up the men like Tomori, all these men to come up with this side, and had these men there looking like world class players. Because we saw he had the Chelsea side in the Champions League. Look what Chelsea did in the Champions League as well. The Chelsea side, everybody looking at the Chelsea side right now and see that they finished fourth and be like, okay, well, it wasn't all that. But from just remember to how the expectation you had for Chelsea at the beginning of the season to now, they overachieve. Chelsea really overachieve. And to go back to Champions League from what they had with this same side, an inexperienced side, you had to get a Lampard.
I think the only thing I could knock Chelsea for is inexperience because the amount of players they had and the amount of money those players cost, they still had expectations on Frank Lampard.
But then when you also watch the fact that under Hazard last year, Hazard was involved in 47% of their league goals last year, and when you look at that and you just remove that with the impossibility of really replacing, I mean, I know Pulisic came in, but Pulisic never really had big returns before this Chelsea season. I still think it says a lot to what Frank has done, and at the same time, I know we put Frank and Ole in the same basket, right? Because they are young managers, but let's remember, Dog Ole managing for like 12 years now, Ole at least has experience with a manager. This is Frank Ole's second year, And clutch Champions League, like, okay, I know there's money behind this squad. I know that. But there's a lot of young players in this team too, a lot of inexperience and a lot of deficiencies that he couldn't even replace.
Exactly.
No, he couldn't replace Kepa. I'm sure he probably would not want to replace somebody who has shot a target is a goal.
One shot, one goal, Kepa.
I think about it. Think about it for Lampard. It's not just replace Kepa, you know. It's to deal with Kepa, you know. It's to be a manager that can deal with those things, you know.
Imagine if Lampard had reached the final. No, sorry. Imagine if he had started Kepa in the final and they got out the pens and he telling them come up for Kepa like. Again,
not Lampard. Men forget the type of player Lampard was. Lampard running out field and dragging Kepa off. Men don't understand. Lampard have this hunger of being a manager, and you can see the same way he was as a player, same way as a manager.
That could work again.
Just talk about the cup final real fast, dog. And I mean, we might talk about young players later on, but I thought Reece James was real good on Saturday, and there's somebody that I know that in the whole conversation of Wan-Bissaka versus Trent that. He just get lost in dog, but I find Reece James is a phenomenal player.
I find you a good defensively.
Yeah, though he's quite good.
Wait, before you go, a good shout for manager there too.
I know it can't be Brandon Rodgers who choked 22 points.
No. Sean Dyche. I think, as we just say, they only have 14 registered players. That's 11 man, 3 subs.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's leaving.
His team was ravaged by injuries, and
it's true.
He get through it with no backing from the team.
Next we have is flop of the year. So this, you guys, is a transfer that didn't make the impact that he was supposed to have made, and it had 2 main persons I had here, and I'll just go with one so that the other guys can have some variety. I had Ndombele. At the end of the day, those guys who watch the show often know that I'm an avid France supporter. So like following these French football is real normal for me. And I thought after Ndombele's phenomenal performances against Man City in the Champions League last year, that man gonna come prem to shine. And I remember when he signed for Spurs, I was real upset. Seeing it's basically what Chelsea doing, man, this year by signing Ziyech and soon to be Havertz, though. Just signing players I like, hurting my soul. But yeah, and then he come. And I mean, at the end of the day, he did not know that Poch was gonna get sacked halfway through, and that Jose would have take over, and Jose, that just happened. I mean, the player that Jose picked on.
Jose don't like Frenchmen.
But
Jose don't like that man at all.
But yeah, they 63 million starting out in the Champions League and in the League One. We know League One to Prem transition actually tends to work out quite well more often than not. And for 63 million, you expect more from him, So go around again, like start with Turpin this time. Turpin, who was your flop of the season, why?
In my flop of the season, I'd rather go with. I also had 2 options, but I guess I'll go with Sebastian Haller.
Yeah.
Because coming from Frankfurt last season, I had real high hopes for him because I thought our Frankfurt attacking tree was real good, and I thought he'd be able to seamlessly adjust to the Premier League. And sadly, didn't work out that way.
Yeah. I remember last time when we was doing the transfer episodes, I was real shouting Haller to go United. When you look at all the goal scorers, United had somebody who could hold up the ball and play it. Though even more so now with Bruno. I think Haller would do phenomenal, But, and I mean, I guess that's such an example of one move could change your whole career, Because I doubt a big side gonna want to touch Haller now.
I just don't think West Ham system suit them.
Yeah, definitely. Virgil?
Both is good shouts, But hard to go find Ndombele for sure. I feel like never only him. And this thing
Lo Celso.
No, that youth man.
Sessignon.
I tell you, looking at Sessignon too, But the reason why I'll put Ndombele over Sessignon because as you said, we saw what them NW did last season, and we saw the fee coming. Real teams wanted them at a point.
Yeah.
Real teams wanted them, and that shock move to Spurs. We thought that Poch was heading in the right direction. I just say, unfortunate situations. He under a manager that just don't like him.
Don't like French players.
Man just don't like French players, but Ndombele, but big to big. Not just him being picked on too. That man's be on the field sometimes looking out of breath and all kind of thing, dog.
You really don't like French players, isn't it?
Yeah. You don't.
I don't remember that man bench Higuain, bench Benzema for Higuain,
The man don't like French players.
Wait, for real, yes?
I say, yeah, Pogba was gonna get sell for sure. But nah, I had to say Ndombele for sure.
Rot?
A flop nobody talking about have to be Joelinton. from
Oh,
Newcastle.
yeah, boy. For
And
Brazilian?
it's not really his fault because their style of play really do suit him. But at the end of the day, they brought him in to score goals and he ended the season with 2. So
See when that famous number 9.
it's wearing Newcastle number 9. You know, that's a heavy jersey. Shearer wear that.
Yeah.
So he had to be up there for me.
Man of the season goes to Adrian though. And I'm gonna try his best to stop Liverpool when he title. Try his utmost best.
Yeah, he
But,
was a United
I can't say what the man was kind enough not to say. But Pepe is a decent shot to be up there as well, considering that it is 72 million spent on him. And
I was going to say something, I didn't want to be that person.
I appreciate it.
I didn't want to be that person.
But the only reason others fight it is because, like I say, that the stark difference, under Emery and under Arteta, just kind of shows what a coach who actually knows what he's doing at this level makes a difference as now. And I know that is a kind of big thing to say about somebody who never managed before compared to somebody who has a couple of years in management. But when we look at the fact that in 13 starts under Arteta, Pepe has 9 goals and assists. I mean, compare that to like 3 or something before that under Emery for 20-something appearances. That says more to me about the coach and obviously the other team stats than it is about just the player now.
I feel where you could see with Pepe is mainly Arteta tell him to be more direct because on that one Emery is just step over, flick outside, flick back inside, step over,
Yeah,
step
but
over.
clean
Put the ball on your left foot and hit.
Let's see that not Maggie hit a lot so he can good by tech us. Alright, cool. Next was Then he do really go on and he happen. Next thing we have here is team that perform the worst. And truth is that my team could be up there now, but I think the 2 teams that have to be there, and you guys will decide, I kind of in between on the 2, is Spurs and Bournemouth. One, Spurs come from being a Champions League finalist to being 14th at a point this time this season, and they actually went out and spent a decent amount of money. It's not like they didn't spend, and it still wasn't enough for Pochettino, who was 3rd best coach in the league, was probably being argued as one of the top 5 coaches in the world. And then there's Bournemouth, who, they be real dog, everybody predicting their 3 to go down. Nobody thought Bournemouth was in that 3. You always thought that Bournemouth was this consistent, good mid-table side that under Eddie Howe plays great football, and it just wasn't enough in the end. And they went down. So for me, 2 is Spurs and Bournemouth. Raj?
I have 2 teams as well. I don't know which one to really go with, so I'll talk about both of them for a little bit. One is Everton, because at the start of the season they had Marco Silva. They were supposed to be good,
Forget what he
and then that turned out to be a dud. And then I think West Ham in it too, because they move into that stadium to compete with the Big 6, to break into Europe and all of that, and it went the next way.
Yeah.
Struggling relegation.
Depend.
Yeah, I agree with George. I also had West Ham and Everton.
Hey.
Because
Great minds,
both teams I predicted them to have a good season to top their fight.
Yeah.
I think both of them also had a real good chance over the window.
Yeah.
Players you could look and say, well, you could
So
see
I thought Fanals was a big signing,
Thought Fanals would be real good.
Yeah.
But I think I had to go with Everton.
Yeah.
I think I had to go with
Level of
Everton.
spending too, you see.
That's true. But for me, I'll just go with Bournemouth for sure.
Yeah.
And for you things to say, because realistically, I feel like the way that Bournemouth finished the season, they do it to themselves, They shoot themselves in the foot. Because they have the good personnel.
Yeah.
And I feel like, as you say, it was a shock. Nobody's going to predict that.
Yeah.
So many decided just not to play to
Yeah. That is it.
I'm man saying, oh, you all going down. I up. I up.
So the next thing we have is the final moment of the season. And at first we had it written down as defining title winning, but I can't just let everybody say a defining moment and they say if it was like in the top 4 in the relegation or it was. For me, one big defining moment, and I can't take this from Turpin, dog, hard luck, but is post-COVID. Actually, I'm not taking it from you, relax now. Is Bruno and Pogba being together. And I think that, okay, obviously Bruno came in and they were the goals and the assists. And while I still don't think that they were much to it, I think that we saw what football was like under Bruno when he now came in. And it was scraping by. It was a draw with Wolves, a draw with Everton, Yeah, they beat Chelsea and City, but they didn't beat them playing well. And the truth is, if we be real honest, talking that Chelsea game, if Batshuayi actually wanted to score, dog, he could have scored a bag.
No, Bailly was playing, like.
Huh?
Bailly was playing, like.
Oh, all right, I forget. But yeah, and then we also saw under Pogba where the football tends to be good for a while and then it drops off and whatever. And I think that both of them being in the squad together, one Pogba finally having somebody who at least is close on his level, at least with experience, mixed with some quality, really, really helped the side. And Bruno as well, adding a little bit more directness. Definitely a great play in terms of interpreting space, being very difficult to mark in the final third, and them being able to play off each other as well as help the rest of the team. Mason broke out during that time period, even bigger than he was before. Martial found some consistency to his game that has been missing, since he's actually been in the Prem. And even though Rashford wasn't amongst the goals like he was before, he still was a threat going forward and still got some goals coming onto the end. And I think that was a huge defining thing in them finishing in the top 4 for the first time in a little while. So, yeah. Since I'm almost TFA thing, though, go next, not open.
Alright, no problem. I had to go with United signing Bruno because, I agree with what you're saying in terms of Bruno and Pogba playing in the midfield together.
Yeah.
But I think since one of the first things I realized about Bruno when he first signed was the first game he played versus Wolves, right? It's strange to see somebody now come into our side and start dictating play, like telling players, go here, and explaining, make this run, I'll get the ball there. I think the kind of he kind of had a kind of captain macho
fair enough
persona now, and I think Bruno input kind of pull together the whole team. United did the good to finally give Martial a number 10, somebody who could actually game the ball rather than Martial into the midfield and basically try and create for himself. Somebody who could get the ball to the wingers.
Yeah.
Link with the
Bruno life real nice, dog. Now I'm making 2-yard passes and getting assist, dog.
We were better than that.
Virgil.
Pardon.
Virgil. Moment of the season, dog.
I feel for me, I look at it from the title.
Yeah,
from the title.
that's fair enough.
I look at it from that loss that City take to Wolves.
Yeah.
I say from that loss, we saw everything shift in Liverpool favor. Liverpool was right. Liverpool saw that. Okay.
Would you like to expand on everything? Are you referring to a particular referee and system?
No. I'm not going. Really want to say that. We all know what happened. We all know about that. But we saw from there, even gave Wolves confidence, and Wolves wasn't a team that was just mid-table. Wolves also fighting for Europe as well.
Yeah.
Wolves got confidence, and we saw that also had an affect the table. They were beating teams too. So it had the top 4 looking a little more open now. We saw Chelsea, Wolves, we saw Sheffield doing the thing, United in the mix there. But realistically, and let's look at, but realistically, the only the teams out of everybody that how the season end off, the only team that really capitalized off that was Liverpool, because again, you had to beat two in front of you, and that what Liverpool did. Liverpool just beat, because realistically, if there's the closest team to Liverpool there this last season was City, and if City couldn't do that, and Liverpool did the job of they beat the teams in front of them, City couldn't do that, Liverpool ran over the title.
I think we should have just get a category just for Leicester, like choke of the year or something like that, dog. At the end of the day, I know there's injuries and whatever, dog, but at some point on the match, I had to take blame for dropping. Though there were 22 points between them and United. And you choked that, Chief? That's horrible.
I still read Brendan.
No, I read him, but
I read
some
Brendan too.
point, that blame had to fall at your feet, dog. At some point.
I tell you, Brendan's a good manager in Scotland.
Roger, what is
the final moment to me in the title race was the first Man City Liverpool game when Liverpool win. I think Man City up to that point, even though Liverpool was ahead, I think Man City still had a shout. But I think that loss kind of just put it in Liverpool favor, and from then I didn't think Liverpool would have catch.
You can look at that for the final minutes too. That Fabinho goal, God boy, that sink everything.
No, everything happened like 5 minutes. The Fabinho and then the Salah goal.
Yeah, but no, it was the foul first. The foul first, and then Fabinho. Oh, yeah, boy, that was sick.
Other moments I had, I have Antonio's renaissance in post-COVID football to save West Ham from going down. Pick up David Moyes. I also had Callum Wilson being injured and missing a big part of the season, which is a big part of why Bournemouth went down. And, just to trim a little bias was, Arteta coming in. While the place didn't really improve that much, the football really has improved. We ended our worst finish with at least a little trophy. And in that process, we beat United, Wolves, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man City. And, hey, all you guys here. And at least there was some silver line to the end of the season, and hopefully something to look forward to next season.
Money pass in the final.
Next thing, goal, as we start to wrap up. Goal of the year. So this one real quick. You need to explain this. So, goal of the year to open.
De Bruyne versus Newcastle.
Goal of the year, Virgil.
Hey, for those who remember, tomorrow go against Wolves.
Hey. That good one. My own. Son versus Burnley, if I remember. If it was Burnley. It was Burnley, and the solo run that Son made.
It was West Ham.
Yeah.
It was Burnley.
No, it was Burnley. It was West Ham. West Ham was the one they win 3-2, dog.
Right.
Yeah, it was Burnley. Great goal, though. The man called him Sonalo Nazario after that game, dog.
Right.
And Rog.
Tomorrow versus Wolves.
But and everybody saying that too. I would mention too. I can't remember that man with the long name that scored the bicycle against Chelsea.
Jahan Bash.
But yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
That bicycle
Poison,
against
boy.
Chelsea. Woo. That was perfect.
Yeah, he need a goal.
That's
Play
Ronaldo.
Chelsea, though.
That's Ronaldo as well.
He ain't score for the season. Circle the Chelsea game.
Kept on goal. Just kick it hard and low, boy.
Or high.
High.
On target.
On target.
Fabinho goal can I go up for that too, dog. That was solid. And Rodri had one of those too, or Rocket,
Burnley. Against Burnley.
Yeah, hey boy, Burnley's a punching man, boy. Next one is the last two categories. The player that you think could move up the table, could go and play for a bigger club. For me, I went with a relegated player, not Buendia, not Cantwell, but with Godfrey. It's very rare to highlight a defender for a side that got relegated, but I think Godfrey shows that he has the talent and the ability, the technical ability that is required to play for teams that one likes to play up front and back, and two that will be able to play in a better defensive system. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we all can kind of agree that Norwich was a talented side. That what let them know was the structure itself and the system. And I think in a better system, somebody like Godfrey, who I think is only 22 years old, that there's still a lot of football in front of him, and being left-footed as well makes him a very rare commodity in today's game. So, we go this side. Virgil.
I don't look at Grealish. I feel if they don't hit this a hostage situation like they do,
have your card or something?
I feel like if they don't do no hostage situation like they did with Zaha for Grealish and allow Grealish to further his career and go to because Grealish he been there long, he need a step up in his career right now, and I feel if he managed to make that move for any team in the top 6,
the
man will do real good for his career.
Yeah, Tuppen.
I mean, I find the obvious option is Declan Rice. I could have said last season, so I won't go with that. I find Adam Connolly at Brighton.
Yeah.
A good season. Okay.
Yeah. Before we go to Rog, I thought Declan Rice will really improve this year.
Yeah.
I actually.
I didn't used to think he was all that.
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
had questions over his technical ability.
His
I think.
passing,
Yeah.
his passing went up levels.
And then is when I started thinking, maybe he could. And look,
Cough up
United
wrong like a man.
rumored to be looking for a DM, and the English brand that all they want to be pushing. That's Declan Rice right
Declan,
there.
if you see this, come home. Come home.
Yeah,
Just let
Declan.
me someone call him, dog.
Yeah, Declan.
You
Home
inside?
his partners.
And Rog, who's yours, dog? Hey, I like the Aaron Connolly though. Big up that, dog.
I have two in particular. Buendia, his creativity for
Yeah.
a team that get relegated
Yeah.
was insane. And
He was
also,
fourth overall though for chances created in the league, dog. That's great.
also from the same team. I know you talk about the defense not being good as part of a structure, but individually for me, when you watch Max Aarons at right
Yeah.
back, I think he's a solid player. I think
Yeah.
under right coach and under, not saying the coach bad or anything,
No.
but under better coach and a better structure, there's a player in there.
Yeah, I think Max Aaron's can really move up the table 100%.
And I think about it, them Chelsea qualities, you're seeing the levels they're attracting. See Atletico Madrid looking at Buendia, we're seeing Bayern looking at Max Aarons.
Yeah. All you can tell me all the money PSG have though, and them never buy a good right back. They just buy everywhere else though, but not good right back in there. Max Aaron stuff. Actually, okay, all joke aside, and I know we got a transfer episode next day, but I think Leicester should buy Max Aaron's and PSG should come and buy Ricardo Pereira. And then lastly, we have our team of the year. So I'll let everybody say their team out on the whole in the end, but let me go position for position. So at least like roughly, like we go goalkeeper, everybody defense, midfield, and attack, right? So I went with Leno. Now I know that's a little biased, but he has the most saves in the league, and oh god, dog, you man allegedly plays for a possession-based side, dog, and has the most saves in the league. Has the most saves in the league, the highest save percentage, and he has his highest XG expected against differential, which means that the expected goals compared to the goals he conceded is the largest gap in the league. Something that De Gea had 2 years ago when he saved them approximately 16 goals, though, which is ridiculous. And yeah, and if Martinez didn't come in and perform as good, we'd still be talking about Leno a lot more and how much they would have been missing him. So I had Leno. Raj, who you had in goal?
Nick Pope.
Yeah, that's a great shot.
15 clean sheets.
Yeah.
If you look at the Liverpool game, where Burnley played Liverpool after COVID, he had like 8 saves that game. Liverpool should have won that game, and the game finished 1-1.
I can confirm that he had 9 because I got 3 points from his saves in my fantasy.
There you go.
How to be Pope? I big up the man earlier. How to be Pope?
I go with Dean Anderson. Manuel saved me.
Oh, they were Real don't like Liverpool. Why? Nobody want to put Alisson in it.
Yeah, because then the whole team will be Liverpool.
Nah, I
redundant to just
I don't find Alisson does really make any sense.
I go be the first one to say that.
They had the ball all the
Alisson is that one is his ability when in possession. He's a good passer, but then there's also his ability to command the box when they're under pressure now. And that's actually the big difference between Arjun and him now. Arjun, that man don't say nothing now.
What I would say about Alisson too is that he don't face much shots because they had the ball all the time. But when they finally do get attacked and somebody beat the defense, he could bail out now, boy.
Atletico Madrid or something to say about that.
True. Yeah, man, Morata turn up.
And all your back fours now. So for me, I went with the most assists for a defender, Trent Alexander-Arnold. On the other side, I went with his partner in Robertson, very obvious. In the middle, I went with Van Dijk. And next to him, I went with what I think was a little underrated pick, which was Johnny Evans. They got a phenomenal there. Everybody liked to pick up Soyuncu, and Soyuncu was good. But Soyuncu was the one who was going out and intercepting men at first. And who they had to clean up when the man missed out was the $2 million signing Johnny Evans.
Johnny Evans, Agent Evans to help Man U into the Champions League last day of the season.
We'll go from the side at Tippin. We have.
So I think
Hey, what's about the mic, boy?
Oh yeah. I think Trent. He was good, but
hey,
boy,
alright.
I went with my boy, the Spider, Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
You Rasta?
Yeah.
You Rasta the court.
You cannot pass a man. Just ask Sterling, he try.
Why?
Went with Van Dijk, obviously at centre back alongside Soyuncu, because I think Soyuncu had a good season.
Yeah, that's good.
And you can't really go with anybody other than Robertson at left back.
That speaks to the league right now, though. Like I was saying in previous episodes before that, I think United should look for left back. But then when I started thinking about like even within the league, it's hard to recruit even within the league to get something. Like how they went and got Wan-Bissaka in the league. That was still there, but there really is no obvious choices. Virgil, actually, Rogers, do you have any back four, boy?
I didn't want to go with Trent because he can't really defend now, boy. He's attacking right back.
Good point.
If you isolate him defensively, launch now, boy. So I went with Ricardo because to me he does it on both ends effectively before he got that injury. On the next side, I went with Andy because again I think he does it on both sides a little bit better than Trent does. Virgil obviously best defender, not that guy, Van Dijk. And underrated shout, I went for Johnny Gunn next to Van Dijk because I think in that Sheffield defense he was like the most solid defender they had.
That's a great shout actually though. Virgil, we had by Kyle Walker.
How to go Trent? No, I had to say because as I was say, he not really that good defensively, but in a good back four. You have a man alongside him like Van Dijk. Van Dijk in my team too. Van Dijk there. Van Dijk with the pace. Van Dijk can clean up anything.
Yeah.
I'm looking at other options, and I was really thinking about Seongchu, you know. But
Yeah.
I really look at Tarkowski.
Yeah.
I think he had a real good season too.
Yeah.
Because not only did Pope do good in the back there, he did real good. He did real good to
Yeah.
hold the structure defense, and he did really good in that Burnley defense.
Good shout.
And for left back, I had to go my boy Saka. I had to put Saka there.
I like me, you know.
I had to put Saka.
I appreciate that. So hey, I figure we're gonna have one more surprise category coming up. But then we have midfield, and I went with 4 players in the midfield, and there's 2 strikers. So you guys will just take the 2 strikers in the end. With my 4 in the midfield, I went with Wilfred and Didi, the man who had more tackles and more interceptions than anybody, not just in Leicester, not just in the Premier League, but in Europe. Fantastic player. Bear in mind, the man was out injured for like 2 months. Next to him is Captain Fantastic, Jordan Henderson. Next to him is KDB. And then the last midfielder, Jack Grealish. The one who put Aston Villa on his back, carried them to the Premier League next year. Virgil?
For that midfield, had to be the man that spark a unbelievable comeback. Had to be Bruno. Bruno had to be in that midfield. Next to him have to be De Bruyne.
Yeah.
And behind him had to put the wall, NDD.
What? Tippin?
I went to that 3-man midfield. I went with NDD in the Golden Role,
Yeah.
KDB, and Chini Wijnaldum.
Yeah.
as the 3-8 smallest.
You know, the amount of answers that you give today that I know told you home clapping it. Told you love them thinking it. Roger Rog.
So I also went to a 3-man midfield, almost similar to Tupin on NDD.
Yeah.
Overall best holding midfielder in the
Yeah.
league this year. KDB obviously as the kind of more attacking on the 8s.
Yeah.
And the more free 8 I went with Kovacic because
Yeah.
of his
Correct.
press resistance, ball dribbling ability, all that.
Yeah, I think all the midfielders, we call it basically top 5 mids in the league right now. You know?
Yeah.
I know man go watch it, dog, Chelsea fans seeing Kovacic, but I think Kova had a great year. And I think year after last year, man would have watched it like he meh. But this year, everything from him, tackles are going forward, total game from him.
Yeah, if you just look at stats, you overlook him. If you watch the game,
Yeah. And actually, even in the stats, I remember checking it at November, he surpassed all his defensive numbers for the entire year before, just 3 months into football, which I think says a lot that he improved his game. And then finally in the attack, like I said, I went with 2 strikers and I went with the 2 top scorers in the league, which was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Jamie Vardy. I know, man, go watch it that, Vardy kind of stuttered in the middle of the season, and I mean, let me be real, out of all the attackers, who really didn't? There wasn't somebody who was scoring every single game like Salah did that 1 year, or like Keane has done when he's been fully fit. And when you take it into account that, Vardy literally has nobody else to do the scoring but him, and he's managed to shoulder the weight relatively well, even though when he last didn't get Champions League football. And then I already spoke about over scoring for the squad that has his 16 more chances in the league. He really literally has to score scraps sometimes, but he does it relentlessly. And I remember in him signing for Arsenal, there was a talk about how he requires too much chances to score. That is why clubs like PSG and Real Madrid don't go for him. But hey, we barely create. And the man was 1 goal away from winning the Golden Boot. So, yeah, we go reverse again. Roger Rog.
Across the front 3, I went with Mane for obvious reasons. I think Mane is the more important of the wingers in Liverpool system, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Danny Ings, again, they would be relegated if he didn't have those 22.
Yeah.
And I went for somebody who I never rate in the past, but I rate him now. He proved me wrong. I'll give him that. I'll honestly say it, Rashford. I used to call him Trashford, but he proved me wrong this year.
Yeah.
And, he really upped his level. I could see him being a good player in the future.
Respect. Tipman?
I went with Rashford, Vardy, and Oba.
Hey. Virgil.
I went with
Marius
Mane.
Aguero still in it.
I went with Mane. Second best African in the league.
After who?
Come on, I have to say it.
Yeah.
Are you going to say that?
Yeah, you have to see it actually.
God, I'm not going to say that.
Carlo.
The disrespect. Man, like he checking China, just come England and just stroll. Nah, I do
Did
Mane.
he get a goal in the Prem?
Nah, not any pro.
Wait, no. But he's been good though.
He scored where it counts.
Yeah.
He scored where it counts. And they're still in the competition for that.
Yeah, it's true.
But for Mane, every title winning team need a player that, took them over the line.
X factor,
And I feel like it was Mane. And that says a lot.
So Mane.
So I say Mane, and I also had to put Ings for numbers he hit.
Yeah.
And had to put Jackie Boy Grealish. Jackie had to be there.
Daddy, we left with the drink, cocktail in the field. I love my drink like Champions League. Every 25 hits, even the